3 years ago, my wife died. After her passing, our home became a museum of memories I couldn't bear to touch. I was left completely alone with decades of accumulation. I could barely breathe. The physical and mental exhaustion of looking at 40 years of stuff was paralyzing. But I didn't spend months agonizing over every item like most decluttering advice suggests. I knew I needed a system that works specifically for seniors who are dealing with a lifetime of possessions, limited energy, and emotional attachments to their belongings. Today I'm going to give you my 7 ruthless rules to eliminate a lifetime of junk in 48 hours. No fluff, no feel-good nonsense. Just the raw truth about what actually works when you need results fast. The first rule is the triage method. This is borrowed straight from emergency medicine. I divided everything into 3 brutal categories in just 15 minutes per room. Category 1 is things you can't live without, like medications, important documents, and daily essentials. Category 2 is things you might need someday. Category 3 is anything you haven't touched in over a year, which means automatic elimination with no exceptions. Here is the ruthless part that most people won't tell you. Category 2 gets treated exactly like Category 3. In my own kitchen, I found I had enough kitchen gadgets to stock a small restaurant. I trashed 90% of the gadgets, including a bread maker we used exactly twice in 10 years. The reality is that keeping everything just in case doesn't make you feel secure. It makes you feel trapped, anxious, and overwhelmed every time you open a closet or drawer. Might need it someday is just fear talking, and fear will keep you surrounded by clutter forever. Go to your kitchen right now. Give yourself 15 minutes. Identify the gadgets you haven't touched in a year, and put them in a trash bag. What is your biggest might need it someday category that is taking over your space? Tell me in the comments down below. Rule number 2 is the 10-minute emotional sprint. Seniors have about 10 minutes of emotional decision-making energy before mental fatigue sets in and everything becomes overwhelming. After that threshold, you start keeping everything because deciding becomes too mentally exhausting to handle. I set a timer for exactly 10 minutes per specific area, like 1 closet shelf or 1 kitchen drawer. When that timer went off, I stopped immediately, even if I wasn't completely finished with that space. I started with my dresser and found expired medications from 1998 and 17 pens that no longer worked. Here is your reality slap. In 10 minutes, you simply cannot overthink decisions. You are forced to trust your gut instincts, and your gut usually knows exactly what you really need versus what you hold on to out of guilt, obligation, or irrational fear. Time pressure becomes your friend instead of your enemy. Set a 10-minute timer on your phone today. Pick your nightstand or a single cabinet and declutter as fast as you can. The moment the timer beeps, stop. Are you someone who tries to tackle entire rooms at once and then gets overwhelmed and quits? Tell me in the comments how that approach usually works out for you. The third rule is the stranger test. I pretended a complete stranger would be going through my belongings after I was gone. I asked myself one simple question about every item. Would a stranger understand why I kept this, or would they think I was a hoarder? I had 23 photo albums filled with blurry vacation photos, duplicates, and pictures of people I could no longer identify. Using the stranger test, I realized most of these photos meant nothing to anyone, so I condensed 23 albums into 3. I also had over 300 books I'd read once and would honestly never read again, like outdated computer manuals and diet books from the 1980s. Here's the truth. Keeping books you'll never reread is just hoarding with an educational excuse attached. Imagining someone else making decisions about your possessions completely removes the personal emotional charge that paralyzes you. You suddenly see your items with crystal clarity instead of through the fog of guilt, nostalgia, and obligation. Pick up a stack of old magazines or papers right now. If a stranger would toss them in the recycling without a second thought, You need to do the exact same thing today. What is the one category of items you hold on to that would make absolutely no sense to a stranger? Drop a comment and be brutally honest. Rule number 4 is the replacement reality check. This destroys the biggest fear that keeps seniors surrounded by clutter for decades. What if I need this someday and can't replace it? For every single item I hesitated to discard, I forced myself to answer 3 questions honestly. First, if I needed this exact item tomorrow, could I realistically get another one? Second, what would it actually cost me to replace this item in today's market? Third, in the last 5 years, how many times have I actually needed this specific item for anything important? I had 12 screwdrivers scattered throughout various junk drawers. The cost to replace the entire set was under $15. The time I had actually used more than one screwdriver in 5 years was exactly 0. Most of what you are keeping just in case will never actually be needed, and the few things you might need are easily and cheaply replaceable in our modern world. You are paying the hidden costs of storage space, mental stress, cleaning time, and living in chaos for the theoretical savings of not having to buy a $5 replacement item once every few years. The math doesn't make sense. Go to your garage or tool closet right now. Find those rusted duplicate tools you haven't used in a decade and throw them in the donation box. What item are you holding on to that you could replace for under $20? Share it in the comments. Rule 5 is the energy investment scale. You simply don't have unlimited energy to spend agonizing over every single object in your home. I created a scale from 1 to 10. Level 1 items got 0 emotional energy and went straight to donation or trash, without any analysis or guilt. Level 10 items got careful consideration and proper storage solutions. Everything in between got sorted based on how much precious emotional energy it actually deserved. Decades of might be useful someday items in my garage rated mostly 1 to 2 on my scale. Sporting equipment for activities I'd outgrown went out without ceremony. The reality is that the items you spend the most emotional energy worrying about are often the least important to your actual daily comfort and happiness. You agonize over decorative items that no one ever notices, while completely ignoring the functional clutter that makes your daily routines frustrating and inefficient. When you stop spending emotional energy on objects that don't enhance your life, you suddenly have much more energy available for the things that actually matter. Stop agonizing over junk. Find a level 1 item right now, an old receipt, a broken gadget, and dump it without a single second of hesitation. What items in your home are stealing your emotional energy without giving you anything positive in return? Tell me in the comments down below. Rule 6 is the future self test. I started making every decluttering decision based on who I was actively becoming, not who I used to be. I asked myself, does keeping this item serve the person I'm growing into, or is it anchoring me to a past that's already complete? I had shelves filled with business and management books that had been absolutely crucial to my career success. But keeping outdated business books wasn't honoring my accomplished past. It was actually preventing me from embracing new interests and growth opportunities. Most seniors declutter based on guilt about the past or obligation to maintain old identities, instead of excitement about who they're becoming in this new chapter of life. Keeping everything exactly as your late spouse left it isn't honoring their memory. It's preventing you from healing and moving forward into whatever remains of your own life. They would have wanted you to live, not to maintain a shrine. Look at the clothes hanging in your closet right now. Grab those business suits or formal clothes from 15 years ago that no longer fit your lifestyle and bag them for donation today. Who is your future self? And what does that emerging person need to thrive in the time you have left? Tell me in the comments. The 7th and final rule is the no-brainer toss. I used to have a habit of holding on to things, not because I needed them, but because throwing them away felt like a decision I didn't want to make. My kitchen counter was buried in old papers, and my garage was a graveyard of things I might need someday. One day I found a pile of old takeout menus from places that had closed years ago. Instead of setting them back down, I tossed them immediately. Some things don't need a decision, they just need to go. If you instantly know something is trash, toss it now. No second guessing. No, what if I need this later? If your gut reaction says it's junk, it's junk. Keeping useless garbage around simply because you are too lazy to make a 5-second decision is destroying your peace of mind. Take 30 seconds right now and look around. Spot something that is obvious trash and toss it. It could be expired food in the fridge or a broken phone charger. Put it in the garbage immediately. What is the weirdest piece of clutter you found in your home? Let me know in the comments. Today my life looks very different. I wake up in a house that actually functions for a 68-year-old man. My kitchen counters stay clear. I always know where my glasses are, and I wake up feeling calm instead of overwhelmed. My home feels like a place of peace, not a storage unit. I can finally sit in my living room without clutter everywhere. Your home isn't meant to be a museum of the past. It should be a place where you feel calm, happy, and free. It is the place where you live whatever time you have left. You don't need a bigger house, you need less stuff. If you want to stop being a hostage to your own stuff, subscribe to the channel.